The trenches, where games aren't just played, they're conquered. Where bodies collide with the force of two pickup trucks at full throttle. Every snap is war. Every rep is survival. Their mission? Erase the man across from you, by any means necessary. The spotlight rarely hits them, but they don't care. They live in the chaos. They thrive in violence. They carry the weight of an entire team, dragging victory out of the mud with their bare hands. This is Trench Talk. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Trench Talk on Nickel City Mafia, where our goal on this show is to just intrigue one person to be more interested in the offensive line and defensive line. Now, again, I always say I don't know everything. I always want to keep learning more and more. And what we do here, is we go over the grades, we go over the statistics, we go over the film that I previously watched on my own and took notes on, and then we talk about it. We find answers for the week, and then we go into the next week, and we see good things, bad things, and in between. And the main reason why I always say that is just because I know it's easy for someone to come on a microphone and then it just seems like they want to know everything or they do know everything. And that's just not the case. I just say what I see, my opinion. Again, if someone sees something differently from what I talk about, please explain it in the chat. I'm always up for conversation or to learn, like I said. Not that anybody's ever made me feel otherwise, but I just don't want it to come out here and it seems like I'm just trying to be a know-it-all because, again, I'm not. This is all just what I think and what I've known, what I've learned in my time playing football and watching football. And again, this is just what I love. I love the trenches. The games are won, as it says in the intro. That's where the games are won and lost, and it's severely important. And again, just another little background. I know I'm ranting today, but I was always interested in trenches, but I never thought to do shows or just focus on the trench for film, because not many people seem interested in it. But then when I was listening around a podcast, I started hearing, oh, the line this, the line that, they're not good, they're not this, they're bad, they did this. And I was just like, well, I'm not seeing that. But back a couple years, 3 years ago when the line was bad, yeah. But the last 2 years, going on 3 years now, it started to hit me in the beginning of the year 2 years ago. And I was like, I'm going to start saying my opinions on it and see if other people can not change their mind per se, but maybe think of it in a different light. But enough rambling. Let's get into week 3. It was a short week going against a familiar foe, the Miami Dolphins. It was a really good game. We ended up winning 31-21. And I would say, especially on the offensive side of the ball, the trenches were dominant. Defensive line was hit or miss, but we're going to get into that. We always start with the O-line, my favorite. So we start with the big man, Dion Dawkins. Oh, excuse me again. I always mention how we do the PFF rankings going into the week. They had us third going into week 3. Now for the week 4 matchup, we'll see what they had us at, but we won't know that until Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's why I have to say the previous week. So week 3, they had us at third. We haven't moved all year. So very, 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 very excellent. All right, back to Dawkins. So we had a 76 overall grade, a 79 pass blocking grade, a 71 run blocking grade, which are all excellent. 0 sacks, 0 hits, a single hurry, 1 pressure, and the big thing that I don't like the most, a flag. Now, the play started out, it was a good block. You're going against Bradley Chubb. Now, what people sometimes don't understand about offensive line is when you're pass blocking and you're going backwards, you're kick stepping, you're setting an anchor down, things like that, you don't see what's behind you. So Dawkins doesn't know, is Josh going to go up the field? Is he scrambling to the right? So he's just blocking. But Bradley Chubb can see. So when you're holding the ball, and this is why they say a win is 2.5 seconds for a block. When you hold that, you get a pass rush win or a pass block win. My point is, when you hold longer than that, there's a higher chance to get called for a penalty for holding, because a D lineman can contort their body any way they want. They can do any kind of move they want on you. And if you're engaged in a block for so long, like Dawkins was with Bradley Chubb, and then Chubb's ripping and swimming, and then Dawkins either can let him go or hold, or continue to engage and maybe get a penalty for being engaged trying to protect. So sometimes that happens, and that's what Dawkins got called for. But again, it wasn't an awful rep altogether. But there was that. The penalties was big. I hate penalties. There was a one or two plays in the run game where he was kind of lazy near the end, where it felt like the game was in hand. And I don't like seeing that. Not that he's a lazy player. He could have been exhausted, short week, dominant both weeks. But it was near the end of the game. But I like to try to find good and bad about everybody. He had a couple bad reps in the run blocking, but overall, he was extremely solid. Anything in those 70s and up is excellent. So David Edwards, 95.4 offensive grade. So shout out to him. That's the best he's ever – I don't know if that's the best he's ever had, but certainly the best he's ever had for the Buffalo Bills. 75.4 pass blocking grade. 94 run blocking grade, which I also think that's the best in a Buffalo Bills uniform. 0 sacks, 0 hits, 1 hurry, and the 1 total pressure. And, again, for him, it's just one play here or there. There wasn't one specific one in any run or pass blocking scenario where I was like, man, he just looked completely awful. And that's really all you can ask for. Again, the big thing about O-line that people need to get is it's impossible. You could put the 90s Cowboys offensive line. They lost reps. It's impossible to win every single time. So, that's just it's guaranteed that there's going to be a bad rep here or there. But if there's nothing alarming, great. So, there's a bad run block here and there because it's hard when they start stacking the box and then the exotic blitzes come and the run blitzes come and you're just like, okay, well, I got this guy. I'm supposed to move up to the second level. Then I'm a little bit late getting to the second level and, just always doesn't look perfect. Sometimes that happens. So, here or there on a run block, really not much from Edwards, to be honest, for bad. Then we get into McGovern, probably the worst of them all, but the cleanest sheet, weird enough. So 59 offensive grade, 55 pass blocking grade, 59 run blocking grade, 0 sacks, 0 hit, 0 hurry, 0 pressures, and 0 flags. Now, so there was a play on the second drive. We were running the football, and McGovern just immediately went to the second level and started engaging in a linebacker, which, again, is good, but he could have engaged with one of the D tackles on his right side first and then get to the second level because it ended up being a play where the D tackle made a play. Again, it wasn't an awful play altogether, but it's just little things like that. Hold on for 1 second, then get to the second level. So then Cook can get by with even more space, and then it works out. Overall, it wasn't too bad. And then second down, again, another run blocking rep in the red zone, just awful, completely whiffed, and then it led to no gain. And then, we were running the ball really well, but there was a couple plays where it just ended up like that. And again, you can't win them all, but overall, if you can 0 pressure, 0 hits, all together, that's all you can really ask for from a center. Now, Torrance, another shout out, 90.3 overall grade, highest in his career, 60 pass blocking, 91.4 run blocking, highest in his career, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 1 hurry, 1 total pressure, 0 flags. So shout out to Torrance the last 2 weeks, only allowed 1 pressure in the last 2 weeks. And again, we use a PFF as a data source, and then I watched the film. I used to do the film study, but I felt like people didn't really want to sit here for hours watching the tape. So I watch it myself, take some notes, and then I condense it into a small video. But, PFF, they get paid to do a job of analyzing players. I don't know how they do it, in which way, like is it one person per team, what have you. But they never really like giving our guys great individual grades, but we're always elite team grade. So it's like, what do you got against our guys? But they gave him great grades here, and he's just been absolutely outstanding. On the Cook touchdown run, he had an amazing block that was able to spring Cook for the touchdown. Again, I told you last week, just watch this man in run blocking. He's just absolutely incredible. The way he says reach blocks, the way he washes people out, the way he just clears space for everyone is just incredible. And then Spencer Brown, I do want to talk. I know this has been a little bit longer than usual. he again has still been very solid. He's not bad at all, and overall the offensive line is still elite, and I think he's been really good. But I think his back is bothering him, and I say that not because you could tell on the field like, oh, he's wincing and he's always grabbing his back, but to me he's not moving the same as he was last year. And just as a reference point, last year he missed one game and then they sat out week 18, so he played 15 games. He only allowed 17 pressures the entire year, so about average of one a game. Now he had, according to PFF, 3 this week, 3 last week, and 3 the week before. So in 3 weeks, he has 9, and he had 17 all last year. And it's just the speed guys are just getting to him easy again, where it's just speed across the edge, rip, boom, already at the quarterback. Again, 1 or 2 plays a game, gets beat for pressure, and it's really not bad. But for how outstanding he was last year, it was pretty noticeable. We'll see how the year progresses. I know he had the problem in the offseason, so it started making me think maybe it's that. Just little things like that. It's like, that wasn't beating you last year. You were really good with the speed rushers because you're probably the most athletic tackle in the league. But anyway, his offensive grade was a 70. Pass blocking was 57.2, and run blocking was 76. No sacks, no hits, 3 hurries, 3 total pressures. So that gives PFF, they said that we allowed 6 pressures. Now, our friends at Pro Football Reference also said 6. I counted 4. Now, it's not that I think I know everything, because I don't. But I don't know 100% how they figure their metrics, because if a pass block win is 2.5 seconds, should it be counted as a pressure if it's after 3 seconds? You know what I mean? So maybe that's why they get 6, I get 4 in this scenario. There's been times where I counted more than what they had. So it's just like a reference point, and I just see how close I can get to what these guys also refer to. So that about wraps it up for the O-line, and I would give them another overall grade of an A. I haven't gotten into the show yet with, showing advanced analytics. Maybe we'll get near that near the end. But these guys as a team, run blocking, we're so super efficient in run blocking, pass blocking, and just overall efficiency per play. And it's really big because of this O-line. So another solid A for them. Now we're going to get into the defense. So upon watching in the game, I noticed Bosa and Walker more, but obviously you can't rewind the play anytime you want. So I wasn't wowed by Groot or Daquan Jones, but at the end of the day, I think everyone played okay. At least there wasn't anybody that was just completely awful. So Greg Rousseau, I didn't think he did anything when I was watching the game first time, watching the film. I did notice a couple of the pressures, but other than that, we'll get into his individual comments. But overall grade of 67.1, pass rush of 65, run defense 62.1, 0 sacks, 0 tackles. He did have an assist, but for ends, I'm just like, I don't really know if I count that. But 0 solo tackles. So that's 2 weeks in a row with 0 solo tackles, 0 hits, 6 hurries. He had 0 hurries last week. 6 pressures. He had 1 last week. And run stops, 0. And he had 0 last week. So I didn't count 6 pressures. A couple of them that they probably counted were when Tua was already rolling out towards his side and he was kind of just out there. So it kind of was like screwing over the left tackle because Tua was rolling out there and then Groot would just run right off of him, and then he can't run up at field at that point because it was a pass play. But at the end of the day, it's not enough. We're going to get into his individual comments later, but it's just not enough for what we're expecting out of him. Yeah, he's not a great pass rusher, but I've been told for years, one of the best run defenders, edge rushers in the league, one of the best edge setters in the league. 0 run stops for 2 weeks and 0 tackles. Again, he's absolutely, aggravating. But we'll get into him more later. Daquan Jones had a 91 overall grade. a 90 pass rush, 74 run defense, no sacks, 2 tackles, no hits, 4 hurries, 4 pressures, and 2 run stops. Pretty solid day. I thought, yeah, there was plays here and there where he was, getting pushed back a little bit or wasn't able to hold double teams for long, but he definitely affected the line of scrimmage, making that left guard had a horrible night. Whoever was on him was just getting highlights after highlights. But overall, solid day for the veteran. Bosa, 69 overall, 77 pass rush, 49 run defense, 0 sacks, 1 tackle, 1 hit, 3 hurries, 4 pressures, and 1 run stop. Now, it wasn't as good as it was last week, but again, short week. They all might be tired, even for Rousseau. But at the end of the day, he was affecting the game a little bit, but they were chipping at him. They weren't doing that to Rousseau. They chipped at him a little bit, and then whenever he kind of got close, the ball was already out. But again, not horrible, not great. Solomon, 46 overall grade, 57 pass rush, 59 run defense, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 tackles, 0 hurries, 0 pressure, 0 run stops. Terrible. Walker, 85.2 overall grade, 86 pass rush, 70 run defense, 3 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 1 hurry, 1 pressure. I thought he had more pressures, it seemed, during the game. But I thought he did a really – I know he didn't play as much as other people, but I thought he really affected the line of scrimmage. I thought he pushed the pocket well. He really moves well down the line of scrimmage, too, to make tackles, engages in the blocks, and then instead of getting pushed back, just beeline right down the line of scrimmage and making plays. And then that pressure he did have, according to PFF, that was the one that led to a turnover. So fantastic. And then the run stops. He got 3 last week and 2 this week. He wasn't known as a run defender, but it seems like he's doing decent at it, and again, a lot of work to do still, but very promising. Zion Logue had a big dip from last week, 47.1 overall grade, 54 pass rush, 41 run defense, 0 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, 0 pressure, 0 run stops. And the last 2, so AJ Epinesa, 59 overall grade, 78.3 pass rush, 44 run defense, 1 tackle, no sacks, no hits, 3 hurries, 3 pressures, 1 run stop. Again, as a backup, is decent. I would like to see a little bit more because he's been around longer. But, he had a couple really good pass rush moves, a couple good run plays in the run game. But again, he's a backup, so that's pretty solid. Now, another poo-poo day for Sanders. 39 overall grade, 54 pass rush, 36 run defense, 0 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, 0 pressure, 0 run stops. Now, we traded up for that guy. I know he's a rookie, but you traded up for him. He held out because he wanted more money in the contract, and then Walker's outperforming him. Walker's getting the start. Got to give him time, but, man, very disappointing so far. Okay, now we'll get into some individual notes. Again, not everybody has a lot. Not everybody – maybe some people don't have anything. But – so Daquan Jones, he had a nice swim move to set up a big tackle for loss inside the 5-yard line. Phenomenal play. And then there was one play where he got washed out on that touchdown run that they got. Again, it happens, but expect better. Deion Walker, first drive and the second play in that drive. He had, again, I haven't mentioned his being able to walk down the line of scrimmage and make plays. Made a great tackle on that one. Got nothing really bad that I saw. Again, I'm not the head coach where I can nitpick, or the defensive coordinator, or the D-line coach. Well, they'll get into maybe a little bit more detail, or they have the play calls that they're supposed to be. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know what plays are running or what the job is for that play. But based off of just what I can tell you, not really anything alarming or glaring. And of course, that pressure, outstanding, led to a turnover. He wasn't able to see Bernard, even though Bernard broke for the ball before Tua even had his arm up. But if if Walker wasn't there, maybe Tua doesn't throw that. So again, very solid performance. He missed a tackle for loss. Sometimes it happens, but you'd like to see when you get in that backfield, get that tackle for loss. It was the last drive in the second half too, so they ended up getting points there. And then, again, great job moving off some blocks on certain plays. And that's a huge thing for your defensive tackles. You want them to be able to move off of double teams, move off of blocks well. And I think he's doing a great job. Now, Greg Rousseau. So I put a couple of the plays in the Discord. He sucked in on runs a couple of times in the red zone. Could have been a tackle for loss, and it wasn't because he got sucked in and he was out of position, overcommitted. He did have a nice swim move to beat the right tackle. One play was one of his hurries. It was a really good rep. Started outside, swam in, boom. Tua threw the ball too quick. Obviously, couldn't affect it. So there wasn't all bad. He got washed out by the right tackle one play, and then whiffed on the tackle. So even though he got beat, he still had a chance for the tackle, and still whiffed. And then this was what really upset me. There was, I think, 2 occasions, maybe 3, where a tight end was guarding him and completely washed him out of the play. A tight end, and that should not happen. And then there was a couple of plays where Patrick Paul just completely took him out of the play. Tackles, the running backs go right by him. Missed, tried to reach out for an arm, couldn't get it. Again, not the best performance for him. We expect more. Bosa also missed the tackle on the touchdown run. He hit him with the shoulder and the leg, and he bounced off of it. He had a nice QB hit, led to nothing. Nothing came out of that. Just an incomplete pass. So that was really good. Again, had a hurry or two. So he had some good pass rush reps, but nothing too extraordinary where you're like, oh my God, he wrecked the game. So Sanders, there was one play that he ran a stunt. He could have sacked Tua. It was when he fumbled. Tua fumbled the snap on 3rd down, and he was running the stunt, and then he just ran right by him. So it's you had a chance, and you just didn't do nothing. Solomon got washed out by a tight end again. So him and Groot also got washed out by tight ends, and it was on a play action play, and it was just he could have affected that play if he could beat the tight end. So again, Sanders, Solomon, not much. Lowe did a good job on the first drive, taking out a block that led to a White tackle for loss. Because he was able to be there, White was able to shoot the gap and make a play. So again, the enforcers of the D-line did their job on that one. AJ had a couple good pressures. He gave that left guard some trouble on some of those plays. There was one play where Patrick Paul was holding, should have been called. And then the play before that, he had a really good. He beat Patrick Paul again. The play before that, and pressured Tua. And this other time, it's so funny. I put it in the Discord as well. The ref goes to grab the flag, but he airballed it, and then he goes like this, and then there's no flag, so he just stops. But he got held, and it led to a big run for Tua, and then they end up getting points. So overall, didn't get any sacks. Had some decent pressure. I would give I'm gonna be a little bit harsh on the defensive line this week. I'm gonna say C+ because they had a right guard and right tackle were not starters. The left guard had a 0 pass blocking grade, and they gave up 5 sacks last week, and we got none. So expect way more out of this defense. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back this week for the Saints Buffalo Bills film. I expect great things from both offensive line and defensive line. I expect 2 A's. We'll see what we get. Go Bills. See you next time.